Welcome to Your Home Arts. Today I'll be showing you how to paint some loose watercolour flowers. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Let's get into the video. I'm going to mix some paint from my watercolour palette into my ceramic palette and mixing some shades that I want to use. It's a good way to test out the colour scheme. Next, I'm going to test out the colours on cold press watercolour paper. I'm going to use some washi tape to stick the watercolour sheet into my sketchbook, like the one I'm using. And choosing one of my larger paintbrushes and getting some colour onto my brush. Using the side of my paintbrush, I'm going to push the brush down and around to get the first shape of the petal. As you bring your paintbrush round, apply less pressure. Continue this method for the rest of the petals. If you want more contrast, add more paint like I have. Next to this flower, I'm going to paint a smaller flower, but this is going to be placed slightly behind the main flower. Using some yellow from my palette in the centre of the flowers and letting this bleed out. This will happen because the flowers are still wet. Next, I'm going to add some leaves. By using the tip of my brush and pushing this down and gradually adding less pressure towards the end of the leaf. I like to use this method and repeat this twice for the larger leaves. On the side, I'm going to add a long stem. I'm gently pressing my paintbrush down and using the shape of my paintbrush to get the shape of the leaves. And I'm also going to add some additional leaves to any gaps that I see. Using a smaller paintbrush and adding some stems around the flowers. I add some smaller leaves to each of the stems. To finish these loose flowers, place some smaller dots using a darker colour to the bud and adding any additional shading to the flowers or the leaves. For our next flower, I'm going to use that same technique I showed you in the first painting. This is going to be 5 petals. I'm going to smudge this flower out by adding some water. For the next flower, I want this to be more angled, so I'm going to start off with 2 petals and adding a small curved line at the bottom with a circle in the middle. This is going to be my guide for where my bud is going to be placed. I'm just adding some more petals to the side of the bud to make the flower look like it's at an angle. and adding some yellow in the centre of the buds. On the left, I'm going to add a closed flower. As I'm making this ball shape, I'm also going to pick up some more paint on my brush and making some curved lines around the top of that ball shape and also at the bottom. And also adding some yellow for the bud. This will help with the appearance of the direction of the flower. Using a smaller paintbrush, I'm going to pick up some more paint and add some details to each of the petals. This is something that you can play around with and see where you want some of your petals to stand out. And you can add some more paint to the stamen to give it more texture. I'm going back in with a larger paintbrush and adding some bigger leaves. I like to use different size leaves as this makes it look more natural and helps balance out the painting. Once this is dried, I'm going to add some thin branches. It's best to use the tip of the paintbrush to get a delicate branch and pressing gently down to create some berries. This is a fast and simple way to paint berries. With a smaller paintbrush, I'm going to start off with the same 5-petal open flower. And adding some more paint and letting that bleed out. Adding another flower, but painting this with only 4 petals. For the next 2, I'm just adding some rough shapes to look like they're more closed. Adding some more markings for some of the closed buds. Essentially they're oval shapes, but I'm using the tip of the paintbrush to add some additional lines at the ends. I'm using a different shade of paint and adding some large round leaves to fill in any space. Next, I'm going to add some yellow to the centre of each of the flowers. Once this is dried, I'm going to add some leaves and connect the flowers by using a stem. And adding some thin branches and some berries to this. On this one, I've used the same techniques I've shown you on the first 2 paintings. The difference is placement or colour or the sizes. When you're giving this a go, I would suggest you just be loose with your paintbrush and making some marks and see how you get on. This can take practice, but also it's about having fun and don't worry if it's not perfect. So here are the finished loose watercolour flowers. Be sure to check out my Instagram for more inspiration. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.